Welcome to Free and on the Road. Today we are going to be doing a quick tutorial, maybe, on how to use the Breville Barista Express Pro. I've had a couple people ask some basic questions and I just wanted to go over that and see if I could help answer some of those questions and get people started so that when you get this machine, you don't get frustrated like I did. Okay, so the first thing that I recommend is getting yourself a good scale. You don't have to do it with a scale. You can use their automatic settings, but I personally feel like by having a scale, it gauges you a little bit more about how long your shots are pulling and if those shots are big enough shots or small enough shots, things like that. All right, so first things first. So they say to do 18 grams of coffee for 36 grams of pulled espresso. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll measure out 18 grams of beans, put it in their hopper, and then go ahead and just grind it. I personally just put my beans in the hopper. I am a busy mom. I have 5 kids, 3 still living in the house. We homeschool. We run a full-time business. I don't have time to do all the little details that a lot of people do that I really don't think make a big difference on your espresso. I don't think putting it in the hopper and measuring it the way I do versus measuring it out first really makes a big difference. If you want to do that, by all means, go ahead and do that. But for me personally, this is how I do it. All right, for today's coffee that I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using this Cutbow Coffee from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Paul, the owner, actually bagged this for me just 2 days ago when I went through Albuquerque. Amazing shop. If you have been to Albuquerque or if you're visiting, make sure you stop by Cutbow. Make sure you get a drink from there. Tell them I sent you, and don't forget to get coffee to bring on the way home. That's one of the best things about traveling is that you can try a bunch of different specialty roasters every time you stop into a shop. But when you have a Breville Barista Express Pro, you have to know how to set your grinder for each coffee bean. So this is perfect because I haven't used this bean yet in this grinder, so we'll be able to see firsthand how it pulls with the settings that I have now. All right, the settings that I have on the machine right now, I have my internal burr grinder set to 3, and I have my actual grind size on the outside set to 8. I'm gonna go ahead and look at this coffee and see how the roast looks. All right, so here is the coffee beans here. It is I would say this is a medium to dark roast. I normally do in my grinder, that Epicurean specialty coffee. My Epicurean specialty coffee says it's a dark roast, but it's actually more like a medium to dark. You can tell by the color. So I'll go ahead and put some of that in the hopper. I'm going to put a little more because I know we're going to do a few tests today. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit more in that hopper for me today. All right, so the first step is to grind your espresso beans to make your espresso. I use the bottomless portafilter. If you want to know the one that I have in my shop, it is on my Amazon. If you want to know which one I have, it's on my Amazon store, so you can check that out. I put on the handy spacer. So I'm going to take my portafilter and I'm actually going to pre-measure it. I clear out my scale so my scale is at 0. Now when I do my grinds, I'll know what my grinds are at. So I'll grind the coffee. So we'll go ahead and let that grind. And then once that's done grinding, we are going to weigh it again to see how much we have. All right, my coffee is done grinding. I'm going to go ahead and re-measure that. So you can see there I have it on the scale. It is at 17.8. Now, I'm pretty happy with that. If you are a perfectionist, you might want to go just a touch more, but I'm happy with what I have there. I will then take my little distributor thing. I'm going to take my little distributor thing here, and I'm going to distribute the espresso all over. Okay, like I said, I haven't used these beans yet in the machine, so this will be the real test to see if the grind size is correct or not. Okay, go ahead and give that a tamp down. Oops. All right, I use this filter because it keeps my espresso machine clean, and I figure, the longer I can make it last, the better. This is my first shot of the day. I just turned the machine on. So my first shot, I always run hot water through it first, just to make sure everything is hot and ready to go. I let it sit for just a second so I don't have water dripping into it. Then I will take my portafilter and lock it into the machine. All right. I am going to pull this shot manually. The next shot we will actually pull, the next shot with the machine automatically so we can see the difference if we don't need to fine tune it. All right, so for a manual shot, I'm going to press my timer button and hold my double shot espresso button at the same time. All right, this is what we call pre-extraction. I'm holding the button down. It is pre-extracting. You do it for about 7 to 8 seconds or until the machine makes a noise like it's, you can kind of hear it pressurize, starting to pressurize up a little bit. Then you let go of the button and you let it pull your shot. Right now our shot is at 19 seconds, 13 grams, 15 grams. I find that you have to press the button a second early, and I was just a second late, but I had it at 37 grams. I did not see the time. I should have checked that. I'll check that. I'll go back and check this video so I can tell you what the time was. I don't know what the time was. I think it was around 30 seconds. So that was our shot. Look at that crema. Beautiful crema. That was our shot that we extracted manually on the Breville Barista Express. All right, so we're going to do the same exact thing to start this shot. We're going to zero out our scale. We're going to go ahead and grind the coffee. All right, that's at 17. I'm going to go just a touch more. So then what you do is you put your portafilter back into the grinder. Instead of pushing in once, you're going to push and hold. And just a touch so we can get to 18. That brought us to 18.4. Perfect, in my opinion. Go ahead and give that a little whisk with your distributor. The distributor actually helps so you don't get channeling and things like that. So if you've heard of channeling, that helps break up any chunks so you don't get the channeling as much. I'm just using the manual tamper that comes with the machine. If you have another tamper that's weighted, that works too. I just use a basic one that comes with the machine. All right, so I got my shot ready. Now we're going to go ahead and pull this one. We're going to pull this one automatically. So the way the automatic setting works on this machine is you just press the button for 2 shots and you let go. Now, I don't know how well it's going to do because I've never done it. So let's just try it. So I'm going to hit the timer and press the button at the same time. So this is the Breville machine doing it manually. It did pre-extraction for about 10 seconds. It looks like this shot is pulling kind of slow. Maybe there was a little bit of that other coffee in my hopper when I first started. Yeah, so this is pulling kind of slow. You can see it's already at 25 seconds and it's only 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so this is a really long shot. So it looks like what we're going to have to do is adjust. Oh, come on now. So that was a 38-second shot and it gave us 21.5 grams of espresso. So we're shooting for 36 grams of espresso. So if this has happened to you, if you've had a shot that's almost within shot range, but it's not enough liquid, that means that your grind is too fine. Like I said, I have just switched this machine over with these grinds. I might have had a little bit of the other grinds out. I probably should have cleaned it out before I videoed. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to adjust our grinds. Whenever I adjust my grinds, I adjust the setting 1 click at a time. Okay? So when I'm talking about grind size, I'm talking about this right on the side of our machine. Right now you can see my grind size is set to 8. I am going to make it 1 coarser. So I will take the grind size and put it down to 9. So now my grind size is set to 9. Now we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to pull the same exact shot and see if we can get it within range. You can see that this shot has nice crema, but it's really dark because it pulled way too long. So we're going to go ahead and try that again. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save these shots for later because I will definitely use them. They'll be fine for iced coffee, especially if you mix them together. They'll be totally fine for iced coffee. So I'll just save those aside while we keep going. All right, so we have adjusted our grind size. We're going to go ahead and grind again, and we're going to pull 2 identical shots like we did before. 1 manually, and 1 we're going to do we're going to do automatic if the manual comes out. Okay. Had to charge my scale, guys. I always forget to do that. All right, so clear the scale out. We're going to go ahead and grind the coffee. Now, whenever you change the grind size, it actually might change your grind amount just because of the way that the machine grinds up the coffee. So we're going to go ahead and check that as well. All right, that is ground up. All right, so we have 17.9. That's almost right on the dot. We're going to go ahead and say that that's good. So we'll go ahead and give that a quick whisk. All right, now we're going to tamp that down. And we're going to pull this shot manually. Just because I want to see where my numbers are at, okay? I think maybe that first shot that the first shot that I pulled might have had some of that Epicurean still in my basket because I do, I just put my coffee in the basket. I know a lot of people don't do that, but for me, that's what works. All right, so we're going to go ahead and reset the scale. Look, it gave me a whole extra bar after that. That was only a 5-minute charge or 3-minute charge even. All right, we're going to go ahead and lock the portafilter into the machine, place our cup on our scale, make sure our scale is zeroed out. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this shot manually. So I'm going to press and hold the two shot button and the timer at the same time. Well, sometimes this scale is kind of cheap. Sometimes it says that there's something on there and it isn't. I know I need to get another one, but it's better than nothing. See, did it again. All right, let's make sure it's in there. I think sometimes if it's not totally straight. All right, let's go. Okay, that was my pre-extraction. Now it's going to go ahead and pull the shot. Okay, that's pulling awfully slow. Yeah, so this is definitely a darker roast than my Epicurean was. You can see it's pulling awfully slow. It's at 27 seconds, almost 30 seconds. And it's not pulled very much. Yeah, that was way, way, way too slow. I'm actually glad you guys get to see this when I'm tuning it in because then you can see what happens with your grind. So this is, there we go. That's about as much as I'm going to let it go. So that was a 48-second shot. That's going to be a burnt shot. I can tell you right now. I mean, the crema is really pretty, but it obviously didn't pull it properly. I'm actually going to try this. Oops. I'm going to spill it all over me first. Yeah, that's definitely, you can taste, it was definitely overdone. Honestly, even with the overdone shot, that espresso is so amazing. That is such a good espresso. I wish that our oldest son just moved out. He lives 2 hours away. I wish he was here to try this because I know that he would be in love with it. All right. We're going to go ahead and do another manual shot as we adjust this in. Now, when I fine-tune my machine, I only do one setting change at a time. So what we're going to do now, as I said, my grind setting was set to 9. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put it up one more to 10. All right? Let me get my portafilter ready and we'll be right back. So while I'm getting this portafilter ready, I'm going to talk about the scale a little bit. All right, so if you were pulling these shots and you didn't have a scale like this that had the timer and the weight, you wouldn't really be able to gauge where your shots are at. So I see where there's a lot of frustration when people get these machines and not knowing where they stand and how to get the best flavor, not knowing why their shots seem they're pulling at 30 seconds, but they don't know how much is coming out. So it's hard to know if those shots are actually pulling properly. And that's why, in my opinion, it's super important to get a scale that has grams and a timer on it. All right? We're going to go ahead and grind that again at grind size 10. This looks like it made a little bit more espresso. Let's see. Yeah, see, that was 18.8. So because I turned the grind size down, I actually should have turned the grind amount down one. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that down one for the next shot. So whenever I see that something is a little bit not exactly where I want it to be, I adjust it right then and there. So when I'm pulling the next shot, it's already done. All right, so we're going to go ahead and whisk that shot. I'm okay with it at 18.8. I just know that I need to pull it a little bit more. So instead of 36, we would do what? 38, right? That's about what we would do. I've noticed with this Breville Breville, sorry. Bleh. I've noticed with this Breville Barista Express Pro that even when you press the button to stop, it always kind of drips a little bit. So I try to stop it a second early anyway. So I'll bet if I stopped it at 36, it would be right where we needed it to be, if that made sense. I don't know if that ramble made sense. Oh, this Cutbow Trios Ritos smells amazing, guys. I wish you could be here to smell it. I wish I had my coffee testers here. I have some friends that do coffee testing with me and my boys, but they're both working and out of state now. So I don't even have any testers with me, so I have to suffer through all this alone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reset my scale. I am going to pull this manually only because I want to know where my shot stands. Okay, so I'm going to do my pre-extraction. All right, and then we will see where that shot pulls. Yeah, so it looks like it's still pulling a little bit slower than I would like. That's already a 20-second shot, and it's only at 6 grams. We'll see here. I can tell already. I like my shots to be around the 28, 29-second mark, and that was definitely not it. Okay. So that was a 40-second shot at 30 grams, and we should have had 38 grams. So that means that my grind is still too fine. I know that this can be super frustrating, especially when you're using an expensive roast of coffee and you just want to have an espresso. But the truth is this espresso shot is perfectly fine to drink. All right? This one actually smells pretty good. It was pulled just a touch too long, but honestly, if you were to get this at a coffee shop, this is let's say they're not a specialty coffee shop, but if you were to get this at a coffee shop, you wouldn't complain. It's actually not a terrible shot. Yes, it's not perfect and it's not perfectly honed in, but it's not terrible. Always make sure that when you're going to taste your espresso, give it a swirl. So the espresso has layers and it has different flavors. So if you don't give it a swirl, you're not going to get the full experience of that shot. All right? So let's go ahead and try this shot. So this one actually has a little bit of a sour note in it, and I'm assuming it's just because it pulled it way too slow. It didn't taste burnt, but the reason why it didn't taste burnt is because I stopped it before it made it all the way to the 38 grams. Had I let it go all the way to the 38 grams, it probably would have tasted a little bit burnt, but I stopped it because I wanted to be able to drink it and enjoy it. All of these shots that I'm pulling today, I am going to save to make iced Americanos, so all of it is not going to waste. Don't waste your espresso! All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more coffee in my hopper first to make sure I have enough for the next shot. We are going to pull another shot manually. Should have got 2 bakes of this stuff because I didn't think I was going to do a video tutorial with it, and I feel like I'm going to need more of it. All right, we are going to turn it down only 1. We're going to turn it down only 1, guys. I know that you want to turn it down 3 and you want to turn it down 4 to get it in there faster, but that is not the best way to do it. The best way is to just do 1 step at a time. All right, so we know that shot pulled too long. 1 step at a time. Don't rush the process. Good coffee takes time sometimes. Once we get this honed in, if I stay with the same roaster and the same coffee, I'm set. I know that these settings are going to be set, so I can keep using the same coffee day after day. If you're like me and you like kind of changing up your roast, then you might have to adjust it again for whatever roast you have. But you get a better idea of the roast and how they grind the more that you do it. I actually knew that this was a darker roast, and I probably should have started around a 10 or 11 on my grind size. But I thought we would try it out because we were doing this test to learn how to pull these shots properly. All right, let me go clean my portafilter and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're going to start the process over. Clear out our scale. Grind our coffee. All right, so since the last shot, we turned our grind amount down 1, and we've also turned our grind setting down, or coarser, 1 setting. All right. See, 19.3, I guess that needs to get turned down 1 more. So this is quite a bit darker of a roast than my dark roast Epicurean, obviously. I did notice that with my Epicurean is the dark, even though it says it's a dark roast, it's a way lighter roast than most dark roasts are. So I do grind my Epicurean more like a light roast or a medium roast when I'm making espresso, because it is a little bit lighter of a coffee. All right, we're going to go ahead and pull this shot manually. Reset our scale. All right, so I'm pressing the 2 button and I'm pressing the time at the same time, holding the button down for the pre-extraction. Pre-extraction took about 9 seconds. Let go, let it do its extraction. This shot looks like it's pulling way better than the last ones. I can already tell it's going way faster. Might be a little bit slow yet, but I think this is a perfectly drinkable shot. We're at 25 seconds. All right, so that was a 33-second shot. That is pretty nose on, if I would say 33 seconds is right where we wanted to be. Look at this beautiful crema on this shot. Beautiful. I mean, just look at that amazing crema. That is one of the best shots I've pulled in a long time. Amazing. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my portafilter cleaned, and then we're going to go ahead and do one automatic so you can see the automatic settings and how that works with that shot. We didn't try this shot. I guess we should try it, hey? Oh my gosh, the flavor is round, it's perfect, it's not sour, it's not bitter. This is an amazing shot. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and pull one manually. We changed our settings from the last one. We turned our grind amount down 1. Weigh our basket first, and then grind. 18. Nose on. We got our settings in there where we needed them. So this is an 18. So we want to make sure that we don't stop this one. We're doing it automatic. I always forget. I don't use the automatic setting like ever. So I'm just doing this as a test for you or for those people that feel more comfortable doing automatic so you can see the difference. We have it honed in. We know the shot is set because we did it manually. So we know that shot is set. So let's see what the machine does. We're going to give the machine a chance to show us what it does. Okay, reset my scale, press the button. All right, this is our manual shot, our automatic shot. I just pressed the 2-shot button and let go, and we're gonna let it pull the shot. It is pulling beautifully. We'll see when it stops it, okay? Okay, that's 30 seconds. I would have stopped it already by then. It stopped it at 34 seconds and 45 grams. So you can see the difference between my manually pulled shot, and that is a perfect ratio, and my automatic pulled shot. Now let's taste the difference. Do a side-by-side comparison. I'm going to say this one might be a little bit more bitter only because it was pulled a little longer and there's a little bit more fluid in it. Yes, so that one, this one isn't quite as smooth, I would say, if I were to give it a comparison. It's not quite as smooth as my manually pulled one. It's still super good. Honestly, I wouldn't knock this. I wouldn't knock the flavor on this particular one. So you can see the difference in liquid amount. You see how my manual had less liquid than the automatic? So the automatic just pulled to what it was. Oh, I'm sorry, way too high. All right, can you see the liquid amount? You can see the automatic has less, more than the manual. So when I did my shot, bring that up here so you can see it. When I did my shot, I stopped it at 36 grams, or it's like 30, whatever it was. And this shot actually went to 45, right? So you can see the difference. Flavor profile wise, I would say they're actually pretty close to each other. I'm not saying, yes, the one that I pulled manually that was the right amount, I think tasted better than the one that was pulled automatically. But if you were to do this machine and you were doing it all automatic and you just wanted a good shot of espresso, there is no problem with you doing it automatically like that. All right, so we only did however many shots this was of espresso to get this tuned in. I think that was, we did we did one full set, and then another full set, and then, no, one full set, and then one just manual, and then another full set. So that was 5 shots, and then this was our last set, 6, 7. So we ended up having to pull 7 shots to get this tuned in. I would have only had to pull 5 shots if I wasn't testing automatic versus manual. So if you think about it that way, it's really not that much coffee that I'm wasting per se to get my machine honed in. Once my machine is honed in, it is set with these beans for my Cutbow beans. I know next time I get this coffee, I'll put a mental note that I ground it at grind size 11, because I know I'll get this Cutbow coffee again. So I'll make a mental note that this was grind size 11. So next time I won't have to do as much of this. Normally what I do when I'm putting a new coffee in, the way that I do it is when I put a new coffee in, I pull 1 shot. I make it as an iced Americano because you can't taste it so much if it's not exactly honed in perfectly. So I'll make it like as an iced Americano or maybe a latte. I have a lot of people that I make coffee for, so I have a bunch of different drinks that I make. So I'll make it as an iced Americano or a latte. And then once I get it honed in perfectly, like what we do here, then I'll make that into one of my cortados. Because cortados, I feel like if I'm going to drink a cortado, it has to be just perfect. And these shots are just perfect. So now these are ready for a cortado. So I'm going to go ahead and whip it up and make a cortado out of it. And then that'll be it for today. So thank you for watching Free and on the Road. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it helped you figure out how to get your Breville Barista Express Pro dialed in. I know it can be frustrating. I've seen a lot of comments in the forums and things like that where people say they get the machine and they're getting to the point where they want to get rid of it because they're so frustrated. The biggest thing is your grind, okay? So a lot of times people get frustrated and they're like, oh, it's going too fast. And then they change the grind setting 3 or 4 times. And then they're, oh, it's too slow. And then they change it 3 or 4 times. What I would recommend is change your burr grinder inside your machine to 3. There's tons of YouTube videos out there that tell you how to do it, so I'm not going to make one. All right, so change your inside burr grinder to 3 and start your outside grind at 10. If it is a lighter roast, you are going to grind it more. So if it's a lighter roast, you want to go finer, right? And if it's a darker roast, you want to go coarser. So just to keep that in mind, my dark roast, this was my Cutbow Coffee Tres Ritos, and this dark roast was burr grinder 3 and outside grinder was 11. So I hope that helps you figure out how to extract the best shot out of your machine. If you have any questions or you want to see anything else on the channel or anything else you want me to deep dive a little more into, let me know. Thanks for watching Free and on the Road. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and do all those fun things. I really appreciate all the support. I'm going to go ahead and make one of these into a cortado, and I'll show that little video at the end. Maybe I might get lucky and get latte art, but don't count on it. Remember, keep on brewing. All right, guys, this is the true test. I'm going to use my espresso that I pulled manually. Do you see this? That is the best heart I've actually done. I know it's not amazing by some standards, but I actually foamed my milk right, and it actually looks good. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. All right, that was my excitement for the day. It almost looks like a heart. It looks like my pull through could have been a little bit better. I am so happy, so elated, so excited. Yes, yes, and yes.